This is George. This is Citizens Going Wild, and I'm about to tell you some puns, which, if this were a civilized country, a person would be shot for saying out loud. But I'm going to do it anyway. To the thief who stole my glasses, I will find you. I have contacts. All right, don't get nervous. Don't get nervous. Here's another one. Police car loses wheels to thief. Cops are working tirelessly to nab suspect. No? Okay, here we go. Where did the Terminator find toilet paper? I'll be back. All right, I know you're getting angry now, but I'm going to finish this. Due to the quarantine, I'll only be doing inside jokes. All right, just a few more and you'll be free to go. If your guy doesn't appreciate fresh fruit puns, let that man go. All right, I'll try once more. Bigamist. That's an Italian fog. Bigamist. Okay. One more. I wanted to be a monk, but I never got the chance. All right. There is just one more, and I've got to go through with this if I'm any man at all. My friend was explaining electricity, and I was like, what? Okay. This is really the last one. Man injured in a bizarre peekaboo accident. He's in ICU. All right, that's it. Something very interesting has happened during this election. Of course, the most important thing is that Biden won the election to become president. But there might be another thing that's happening that is kind of an earthquake in politics in America. For years, we had assumed, or at least the people who talk on television had assumed, that the Democrats were going to win in the long run because they were getting more immigrants, mainly brown immigrants, mainly Hispanics who were coming into the country. And they would, of course, join with the Democrats. That's what immigrants do. They go with the more liberal party. I would. And we thought this would happen. And of course, we thought that the blacks would continue to vote Democratic and the Asians would continue to vote Democratic. They were already trending that way. But a crazy thing happened on the way to the forum. It seemed that about a third of the Hispanics voted for Trump. This surprised the hell out of everyone, especially those who were campaigning to get the Hispanics to vote for the Democrats. We're not sure exactly why that happened. I have my suspicions that, first of all, a lot of blacks like a more confident macho outlook, which Trump embodied for many people. In addition, as I've looked at the polls over the years, I've seen that Hispanics in this country have about the same attitude toward all sorts of issues, including immigration, as white people have. As long as they don't think they're being targeted as the enemy, they tend to vote exactly the same way as white people vote. And they tend to have the same attitudes on large issues like immigration. It is a mistake to think that all immigrants are for illegal immigration. And that may be what is happening. No one knows so far. And everyone who talks so confidently on TV, they perhaps know a little less. Asians who are trending to the left, let us say, to the Democratic Party, voted in larger number than was suspected they would for Trump, for goodness sakes. And this may be because they have gotten a little nervous about this question of affirmative action. And when they applied to the top schools, which they often do and they often get in, they weren't getting in proportion to the number of Asians that were doing well. This may have changed them. This case was recently in court and it caught the eye of a lot of people. a lot of publicity. So we may be seeing a big change there, especially if we come up with someone who's a little calmer than Trump has been. So there's something to watch for. This has thrown everyone off, just everyone. And all the experts have been shown to be, well, not very expert. Now, I want us to all remember and keep in mind what Trump stood for and what he did, I think, rather successfully. Because amidst all of the chaos and the midnight tweets and stuff like that, I think many things were accomplished. And I think to win in the future, the person who's going to win in the future had better bone up on how he's going to help in these areas. For one thing, we have been going with free trade for generations. Free trade, free trade. It's good in the long run. You may be suffering now, but in the long run, we'll do better. And a lot of people waited for the long run to come and go, and they weren't doing better. So what Trump stood for, which was interesting, was fair trade. In other words, we're going to enforce environmental laws. So you have to do the same thing we have to do here, and it costs money and adds to the price of the thing you're making over there. And you should just keep your eye out for this sort of stuff. Also, people thought that manufacturing was done for. They were sad. They were sad. But they said, look, that's the end of it here. We have to move on into the cyber economy. Well, the cyber economy only employs a small number of people. If you look at Google and Schmoogle, you'll find that they have a couple of 100,000 people, smart people, but still only a couple of $100,000, 100,000 people. Very smart, moving fast, but still it doesn't employ enough people. For good jobs, middle class jobs, you need manufacturing for a lot of people. And the manufacturing has to be done here. No one thought that could be done. Trump got a lot of companies to rethink them. He yelled at them, he praised them, he admired them, he gave them certain economic breaks, and he got a bunch to come back. And now no one is saying, you don't hear people saying, oh, manufacturing's gone. They say, no, look here, look there, look everywhere. And Trump, one, should be given credit for that. Okay, he's the only one who's done that. The only one, Republican, Democrat, or in between. And we have some advantages. Energy costs, of all things, not only are we not bringing up enough oil, but we have oil out the wazoo. And in this wazoo, also coming out is natural gas, which is especially valuable nowadays. And we took on Iran. This is going to be very hard for Biden, and I don't envy him. But he took on Iran. He thought we got a lousy deal with them. I agree. Many of you probably agree. And instead of appeasing these people, that's what I thought the deal was with Iran. He said, the heck with you. And he basically broke down Iran. He destroyed their economy completely. And he embargoed lots of things that they wanted to bring into their country, and he wouldn't let them do that. And we don't really need Iran for anything. So it's his idea was he could bring Iran around to signing a more reasonable agreement, an agreement that didn't give Iran a straight path to becoming a nuclear power. For example, when this nuclear deal was made with Iran, we didn't mention a small thing. You can't manufacture missiles. I don't know how we missed that. I don't know how we thought they would be delivering missiles, maybe all 400 people carrying it. At any rate, they manufactured missiles. There's only one reason for missiles. It's not transportation. It's moving an atomic weapon from here over to here. And they're manufacturing like crazy. And Trump is not going to let up until they stop doing that. Biden has a tough business here. And we'll see what he is going to do here. A lot of people think he will go along with softening the sanctions and letting them make whatever they want in Iran, as long as they promise not to build atomic weapons. But I don't know. I have a feeling that he may just stay with the Trump idea here. He'll have a lot of people yelling at him, but that's the job of a president, to move while everyone's yelling at you. Not a good job. I notice most of the people come in with brown hair or black hair and leave with gray hair. Another thing he did, and here I have to disagree with him, he was a full-time defender of the police. I'm a defender of the police too. I love the police. I live in a small town. I know the police. They're basically very good guys, and they do make me feel better, safer, and my family as well. However, there are two things that have to be done regarding the police in this country, in my opinion. First of all, their pensions are killing us. They're absolutely killing us. They have bankrupted entire cities, for example, San Jose, California. They have bankrupted entire states, for example, Illinois. The public employee benefits are perhaps, they are out of control, especially with the police. No one wants the police to be destitute when they retire. Okay, they have a hard job. We want them to relax and enjoy themselves, but they have to be reasonable. Something must be done. Otherwise, they'll end up bankrupting the entire country. The other thing is that basically, I think most police act well, but there are those who don't act well. First of all, the police seem to have no training in dealing with the mentally ill. I mean, the only thing they do is shoot them. Maybe an exaggeration, but not too much, I suspect. The other thing is that in addition to getting better training, it does seem to me that they treat some black people rough and in a very bad manner. Now, I'm not blaming the whole police force. I'm not going to defund the police or anything hysterically stupid like that, but they have to address this. And it's hard for people to address that because if you say anything there, they say, oh, we put our lives on a line, or you hate the police, or something like that. No, we don't hate the police. We love the police. But nonetheless, you want them to improve as much as they can. I think they need better training in mental health, definitely. And their pensions have to come down there. And they need something has to be done about the way they treat basically black people. I'm sorry, but that's what I feel to be the case. Now, during the past years, there have been attacks on what one person here, I have an article, calls white culture. I happen to like white culture. What he means is basically the values of Western civilization. It'll be interesting to see if Biden understands that something has to be done here or not. Now, this is a list from people who are rather hostile to white culture, but this is what they say makes up white culture. The individual is the primary unit. The family is the primary social unit. I happen to think this is a very good idea. There's an emphasis on science. We believe in science here. There's an emphasis on objective thinking. On colleges nowadays, science, logic, reason are under attack. It's called, by people who don't like Western civilization, Euroscience, Eurologic, which means white people created it and therefore it must be bad. That's stupid. It is stupid beyond measure. And we have to stop. It'll be interesting to see if Biden does anything about what's going on college campuses here. The white people, especially the white Protestants, I suppose, believe hard work is the key to success. By the way, it is my firm belief that the Asians coming into this country believe the same thing. When I taught in California, the Asian kids, if they did something wrong, they came up to you, if they made a mistake on an exam or got a bad grade or whatever, they came up to you, and what they wanted you to do was not excuse it, tell me what I have to do. And they would just go back, and if they had to write 500 pages, they would write 500 pages. Tell me what I have to do. I will work so hard, I will get a better grade. It's a little unnerving, perhaps. Perhaps we've gotten a little soft in this country. I don't know. but I think it'll be interesting to see what's going on here. They are not against competition, they are for competition. Of course, they would like to win, but they are for competition. They believe in delaying gratification. That's right, in all sorts of areas, chocolate and maybe sex, maybe not, but at least with chocolate. They believe that if you want to be in the middle class or higher, you have an obligation to speak the king's English. You have an obligation to avoid conflict. You have an obligation to be polite to other people. Now, this is the very opposite of the left. The left, under the advice, whether they know it or not, of a guy named Engels, a friend of Marx's, said, no, you should be nasty, rough. You want to throw the middle class off balance. Most Americans believe, no, you don't want to throw them off balance. You want to say, excuse me, how are you? How are you doing? Thank you. They believe that the highest ethics involve individual rights. If you look at the rights that Americans have, in fact, most Americans believe that those rights are the Constitution. They aren't all of the Constitution, but the Bill of Rights is an important part. Most Americans believe very firmly in those beliefs. Those beliefs back up, support individual rights. That's what it's about. I, as an individual, have a right to free speech. You, as an individual, have a right to free speech. We don't have group rights in this country. We have individual rights. And most people, including Hispanics and Asians, I think, believe very strongly in this. And if the Republicans could put up a candidate who would refrain from insulting them for 5 minutes, they could win them over. We'll see if that's going to happen or not here. Some people think that liberalism, Western civilization, haven't been doing that well lately because they've embraced cultural relativism. Cultural relativism, also called multiculturalism, says that all cultures are the same. All cultures are just worthwhile. And if while you're in college you say the opposite, you're going to be yelled at and told that you're a racist. I think that's not true. But there are cultures that work and cultures that don't work. I mean, there's a reason people can come all colors and hues and with stripes, pinstripes, whatever, to this country and do well in general if they work hard. Not all will, and of course, and there will be some people in the United States that are still prejudiced against some people that are not from the United States. But still, I think you're basically given a fair break in this country. And if you do work hard, if you discipline yourself, you can do reasonably well. And I think the chances of you ending up in the middle class are damn good. The embrace of cultural relativism, of multiculturalism, though, says the opposite. It says, no, all cultures are the same. And well, if all cultures are the same, then why aren't the people in South America doing as well as the people in North America? And why, when the people move from South America to North America, all of a sudden they're the same person physically, but they're starting to do well here? I think it's because of the culture here. Someone from Nigeria was telling me, what's the difference between here and there? He was driving a taxi maybe 12 hours a day. And he says, here, if I earn money, I keep it. There, if you earn money, someone with a gun comes and takes it away. There is a difference in the culture here. And it involves freedom. It involves equality before the law. And we should keep an eye on this sort of stuff. A lot of people, well, some people anyway, like Mr. Pompeo. I love the man. And he had a little conference that he set up himself. He had a commission on unalienable rights, rights that cannot be taken away from you by anyone but God, who won't take them away from you. And he said that he is tired of hearing that the history of the United States is just a history of oppression. We discriminated against this group, that group, and the other group, and we still are, according to a lot of professors. He says that's not true. This is a dark version of America's birth. We weren't born in slavery. The country didn't start in 1619. It started in 1776, and freedom was the goal from the get-go. Was everyone free? No, it's a journey, folks. It's a journey. But he says America is special. America is good, and America does good. This is what I believe. I hope Biden believes the same thing. I know he was forced to say other things to get a nomination and get elected, but I hope he continues with this. There's another thing I'm looking forward to is I want to see if Biden keeps up the pressure on anti-Semites in college campuses. Under President Trump, and only under President Trump, pressure was brought to bear on universities that allowed anti-Semitism to run wild. And steps were taken to stop that, to slow it down. I hope they continue. This is what someone said on a podcast, not me yet. I love America. I believe in American exceptionalism. America pioneered representative government guided by a written constitution. I believe we should be given credit for doing just that. I believe the time for self-denigration, self-abasement by white people, middle-class people, that time has come, and that time has darn well gone. Okay? Here are a couple of remarks that some people, clever people, have said recently. This was by Robin Williams. Politicians should wear sponsor jackets like NASCAR drivers. Then we know who owns them. I think that's pretty good. Here's one from the Dalai Lama who knows a couple of things as well. A smart person knows what to say. A wise person knows whether to say it or not. That's an area I have to work on. Now, this is the last thing of this little podcast, and I want you to try it. It's crazy, but try it. And the question here is, how smart is your right foot? 1, while sitting in a chair, lift your right foot off the floor and make clockwise circle. Now you just try this at home, man. Now, while doing this, draw the number 6 in the air with your right hand. Your foot will change direction. Your foot will change direction. You try this at home, man. And I don't know how it does it, but it just goes that way. Anyway, I don't know what good this will do you in this life. It won't save your marriage, but it's interesting to try it out. I thank you for listening, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you very much.